Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are starting our discussion on the often heard, the most popular slogan of the day, Make in India. Our topic for discussion would be with these eminent panelists who would discuss how they have been inspired long before about making mainly East India and their future, their road ahead and their perspective for making their business and their endeavors global. I have with me a lady who needs no introduction, Mrs. Sharbari Dutta, who's actually brought color and design into a man's very dull wardrobe. I have with me Giovanna, who is with Torero, and she's a consultant for a handful of products, and she's going to share her experiences with us. Binwant, who's a director of NIFT, and Vineeta, who had started in a small way a company called Earthwear, and which is really growing by leaps and bounds. And she's going to share her focus on Eastern India and her future plans. Sharbari, since you're the senior most, I would have the pleasure of starting with you. What has been your journey like? Because you've been a pioneer. You have actually brought the concept of color in a man's wardrobe. So it's actually a concept selling before anything else. How did you do it? What made you think of bringing color into a man's wardrobe? Before you, no one had thought of it before.
I'm not very happy to speak about myself. It's not a very pleasurable thing for me, but especially so that since I started my career in '91, media has spoken so much about it. Everybody is really fed up with all my details. Yes, I did my first exhibition in '91 very casually, very informally. I never knew that I would be a designer. It was so informal that I even didn't invite media people also. It's only by, word of mouth, friends and friends, something like that. But somehow, there were 100 pieces, little less than 100 pieces, but only on menswear. And that is also very, different type of thing because it's all traditional Indian menswear. That is absolutely backyard of fashion. And also there is no commercial viability. Nobody believes that it would sell. But somehow or other, all my pieces got sold, except my colored dhotis. Everybody was laughing that who will wear those saris. But it's now my turn to laugh. Because if you go to any shop and ask for colored dhotis, they will show you colored dhotis. How they can show you? Because they have stock. And how they have stock? Because they have suppliers. Why suppliers are creating colored dhotis? Because there is a demand. Why it is that there is a demand for colored dhotis? Because the taste has been created. That's designer's job. And I was from that this year is 216, and this is 25th years of my journey. And all these years I'm totally focused. Not that I cannot create for women or kids or sportswear or household linen, but I'm totally focused on menswear, and those are mainly traditional Indian menswear. For creating those things, I use many of the local craftsmen and local crafts to embellish those garments. And I think Bengal and also Eastern India has a lot of craftsmen who are not explored properly. So, and especially the Kantha work. Kantha work is nothing but run stitch, very simple, off and on, very simple stitches. And those, my contribution is that I have incorporated those Kantha stitches in menswear, in kurtas, in sherwanis, in Nehru jackets, or in shawl, or in dhotis. So I think it has got a vast potentiality, and not only Kantha work, it's a rural art, but rural craft, but there are so many rural crafts, those are unexplored in Eastern zone.
Thank you, Sharbari. You really put crafts of Eastern zone on the map, and also you've used a lot of our Eastern indigenous fabrics like tassar, etc. Vineeta, you have also been very focused in the Eastern zone as far as your procurement is concerned. Of course, you also procured from other parts of Bengal. What is your experience?
I'm here representing Earthwear. Earthwear, a brand which I created about 4 years ago. And across these 4 years, now today we have 3 stores. 2 out of them are in good upcoming malls. So my point is that, and of course, the focus of Earthwear is and has always been the promotion of Indian crafts and skills. So definitely the topic Made in India or Make in India is extremely relevant in my context, because our brand stands for the promotion of these crafts. And having said that, we, of course, we are born and based out of Kolkata, so the natural thing for us to do was to actually explore the crafts of this region first. But we are also into the exploration of crafts of other regions of the country, namely Jaipur. So we do a lot of Dabu and Bagru prints, hand block prints from these regions. We do kalamkaris from the south. We do ajrak from Gujarat. And hand-woven fabrics like Mangalgiris from little towns called Mangalgiri and associated places there in the south. So my point is that, and of course, as Sharbari is also doing, she's dedicated to Kantha revival. And one of our causes is also the dedication of, being dedicated to Kantha revival, as well as all the artisans and craftsmen of Bengal. So we have a number of clusters in the rural villages here in Bengal who we work with on an ongoing 365-day basis. And Pallabi was just asking me just a little while back, what has been your challenge? The biggest challenge that you have faced? I think working with them, making them disciplined, making sure that quality is adhered to, making sure that if we tell them that this needs to be done in a certain way, it is done in that certain way, making them adhere to time. So all of these are very peculiar problems of the craft industry, which anybody who deals with craftsmen or artisans will face. So these have been our, peculiar problems which we have dealt with, and we have come out, and we have commercially been able to make craft affordable. And not just make it for the designers. I mean, in the sense that, of course, there are designer products where you're willing to pay a price. Like, you don't really need to think about price when you buy a designer garment. So a lot of times, craft is associated with a designer product. But we have tried to make craft affordable. That is our motto. Making craft affordable, making it commercial. Since I'm essentially from a business background, and I'm actually a chartered accountant by qualification, my focus has actually always been to make craft affordable. I need to get it into the wardrobe of a contemporary modern woman who has a penchant for Indian crafts and tradition. That is the motto, to actually be able to pick up a garment which is aesthetic, affordable, earthy, and all of that. within a price point. So this
Thank you
is,
very much,
this is
Vineeta.
exactly what we have tried to do.
Thank you very much. Very valuable input. Giovanna, please share your experience since you worked in several countries and for a short while you're with us also. In this short while, you've explored a bit of India, and what has been, in comparison, your experience about working in India vis-a-vis other countries?
I am creative director now for Torero Corporation, which, unlike the panelists present here, is actually involved with the global trade of made in India products, and specifically the leather goods. I can say that I'm very happy to have accepted this challenge, which for the first time in a over 30 years long career in this business worldwide puts me on this side of the wall, let's call it that way, in the sense that I've always been sourcing and working in India as well as China, the Far East, and all kinds of countries for European or American brands. Now, for the first time, I'm helping a very young and rampant Indian company to come forward into the global market with a portfolio of brands, a lot of which are going to be manufactured in India, okay? Maybe not only in India, but certainly in India for the part of the product that is most suitable, okay, for a rich and warm product, which is characteristic of Indian production, as far as my experience is concerned. As an outsider, I can make distinctly this difference between Chinese products, say, and Indian products, just talking about Asian countries, comparing Asian countries' productions. Exactly in this instance, Indian product is a warm product. It is made with mostly natural materials, and it is made mostly with a direct relationship of people or workmanship's hand on the product, okay? And this makes the product particularly rich and adaptable for a series of global purposes, if not, specifically ethnic, as the panelists' experiences. So it's a tough job to be working with European brands in an Indian setup, okay, because the Indian setup is much looser, less structured, and so it is more difficult to control, which is, for us, it's a little bit scary. But other than that, it's for me like a very enlightening position right now, and I don't think I would have been able to approach it much earlier in my life to this extent.
Thank you so much, Giovanna. It was very enlightening. Binwant and your colleague from NIFT, we've been hearing about working with craftsmen, and we all know that all over India, we are very rich in our textile heritage and in our craftsmanship, but it is basically, so far, it's been a hand-me-down process, very family-run businesses, family-run weavers, family-run craftsmen, where the expertise has come down from grandfather to son to grandson. But here we are on the threshold of becoming global, and even in the domestic market, we are extremely professional now. But for people like Sharbari and for Vineeta and for Giovanna, there's a challenge as far as the human resource is concerned. It's, the mindset is different. While you might have a lot of talent and a lot of knowledge, you need to organize yourself. So the entire sector so far, the crafts and the artisan sector, is extremely unorganized. And side by side, we have young professionals who are entering into the fashion business. Now, from NIFT, from your organization, how do you think you can develop the right set of skills, the right set of attitude, and build a bridge between these young professionals and the traditional artisans and craftsmen, without whom really we cannot move forward? They are an asset to our business.
Yeah. Thank you, Pallabi. Yes, I joined. My journey at NIFT started 20 years back, around 20 years back. I joined as a faculty, and I'm still a faculty there, professor. Our attempts, our efforts at NIFT are to incorporate elements, which are, say, craft cluster initiatives, incorporate them, blend them in the curriculum, so that the students who come with starry eyes and dreams, to be an established designer after they pass out of 4 years of program, they should also realize that there are a lot of, rich heritage which is available. And so this has been an effort of NIFT to show them this direction. And we have a craft cluster initiatives in which for 10 days the students go and stay in the village, and not only, it's a baseline survey they conduct to start with, where they look at the processes which are used, the tools which are used, and also look at the options of marketability of those crafts. So I think there is somewhere NIFT is contributing in a big way in this direction by showing them that these are the options. And I see that after graduating, star alumni like Sabyasachi, Shantanu Goenka, Kallol Dutta, Shayanthan Sarkar, and so many more who have graduated from NIFT have made their own efforts of incorporating those elements in their collections from time to time. So NIFT shows them a direction, as I said, and as they progress with the syllabus, we also give them a technological input, because we feel that there should be a balance of giving them exposure of the traditional crafts, textiles which are available, and also show them the technology which can be blended, and maybe you can, do something more than what, is happening. So technology in terms of design, improvisation, product diversification, that's how we have these specialized softwares which are used in the industry, or, for graphics purpose, so that you do not waste time in sampling. You can just have infinite visual possibilities straight on the graphic screen, before you make a decision of coming out with. So these are some elements we saw were missing at the grassroots level when, we made these, trips to the grassroots. We realized that there were a few of these elements, and so in that we made an effort of establishing a CAD center at Fulia, and it's nice to see that the craftsmen are using those when they design their saris. That was one initiative. And fashion industry, one has to understand it's peculiar in the way that, it thrives on innovation. So one has to somewhere couple the technology with what is happening. So my belief is that, you have to, and price points are very low, so you're working with very small margins. So somewhere we have to cut down, maybe look at, redesigning your supply chain or other options. And we also have our alumni, Nupur in the panel. It's nice to have her. And we have a whole lot of alumni who have graduated and have started their own, they are employers, and they have I was talking to Shayan Mitra Mustafi. He has around 14 people working under him, and he has a unit of his own, and he's also working with menswear. So it's nice to meet. There was an alumni meet. I must thank East India Retail Summit organizers to have organized a NIFT alumni meet here, where I got the opportunity to meet them. So, thank you.
Nupur, you are into fabrication.
Yes.
Okay. Now, can you tell us some of the problems you face while fabricating? Because you're a global player. So,
Yes.
I want to know what are the challenges you face for the global market, to face the global market.
The challenge mostly is having them understand what I'm trying to say and make a product which is to my liking mostly. And what happens is we are educated in terms of design and they are not. They've been growing up with it. They've grown up with it. So they have a certain sort of a thinking which is more mass and more what they are seeing around rather than, as I said, innovation. So when you're innovating and you're thinking about new things, to make them really understand what you're looking at and how far you need to go, and to get them there is a big challenge. Because I've done like a couple of collections. I mean, there was one that I did last where it was called Close Knit, and I'd used, Zardozi elements to create knitwear textures. Now, just to get that into a karigar's head and get him to understand that I need that texture in Zardozi took me a month. Because they really didn't understand that I wasn't looking at knitting the product, but actually just getting the look on a fabric. So yes, understanding is a big issue. Also, I feel we devalue our own crafts. I feel that, when the same embroidery is done in India and, you put a label of Ali Saab on it, it can sell for 2.5 lakhs. But if you put, let's say, a Nupur Kanol, it'll be 25,000 or maybe 40,000 bucks, but it's the same amount of work. So we need to, I feel, value our crafts more and tell our craftsmen that, there is a future ahead. I see today that a lot of craftsmen and their children don't want to actually go ahead in this field because they have so many other options they are studying, because all of these guys are making money enough to make the children study. And because they have so much of technologically, they have so many things available to them, they don't think that sitting on an adda and doing embroidery is a challenge to them. They'd rather not do it and take the easy way out. So I feel that also motivating them and telling them that and showing them by doing things for them and working very religiously on your crafts is very important so that this industry is alive. I mean, in America, there people, I recently met this lady who had come here for a study on the embroideries of India. And she said that in America, the embroidery, she's one of the few people who teach embroidery and even know about embroidery because it died in the 40s. And by the 80s, it was over. So she's probably one of the few people who knows about embroideries. And here we are sitting on a treasure and we don't value it too much. So for me, when I started off, I would say embroidery was more incidental. I always loved it, but I've over the years realized the importance of it and what it means to me. And it's not just because I'm an Indian or I want to work with Indian embroideries. I think it's a treasure that we have that not very many countries have. And we should definitely preserve it. And even if it's a challenge, and it's been a great challenge for me too, but it's always going to be a challenge. Something that's done with hand, it's imperfect. It's always going to be difficult.
This brings me to another question, Binwant. Have you all in NIFT ever tried to keep the traditions alive, to ensure that the youngsters don't go in for other greener pastures and adhere to the printing or embroidery or weaving? Because we've found that over the years, a lot of people have migrated to other businesses because, this is more time consuming and not so paying. I feel if we modernize it and maybe, establishments like NIFT can have an integrated program, maybe on site, or invite the youngsters over because they are actually more technically qualified also than their fathers and grandfathers, and show them that there's another world for them in their own traditional craft and weaving, which they don't have to desert in to earn money.
That's right. Very rightly pointed out, Pallavi, that, the mere fact that our students are going there, staying for 10 days, actually give them, some kind of strength that, okay, this is something which they need to preserve. And yes, we are trying in our own ways to give that dignity, that identity to the craft, which is required at this point of time. We are also doing some projects along, sponsored by some of the government organizations and NGOs. There is one which is that is on revival of rich textile heritage of Bengal, under which we are actually working on with 6 saris, how we can revive it, give design, say innovations, add design innovations, in which we are also using softwares which will finally convert the digital design into a construction form of it in a graph form. So all that is happening. Yes, you very rightly pointed out that there's somewhere a question in their mind whether this is the line to pursue, or they should look at options which are giving them more, So this should be remunerative. That's very essential on one hand. And also they should look up to it. That is something which I felt. And in our own way, NIFT is doing by, there is another project which we have got from government, central government, where NIFT has got for all the 15 centers, where we are actually going to, by that, we are going to incorporate some element of craft in all the semesters, which is still fresh in our mind, and we are looking at how we'll do it. But I think this would be a very good way of sensitizing our students who are going to be future designers to this, the prevailing craft. So I think this is there are a lot of initiatives which NIFT is taking, and these are some of them. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Binwant. To make in India a success, we do need extremely skillful and knowledgeable workforce. And I think it's your great responsibility to develop that. Sharbari, I'll come back to you. Going forward, what are your plans, or what do you, in general, what do you feel going global would eventually mean? And what are the problems you face in thinking that way?
If you consider global press and global buyers, I'm catering them and meeting them since at least 15 years back. I'm catering not only to Europe, America, but to Middle East, Japan, Southeast Asia. Many of the buyers come to me and buy from my studio. My outlet is very simple and humble thing, and then I operate only from there. I never give my collection to anybody, any stores or around the country. If somebody wants to have my things, even Amitabh Bachchan or Sachin Tendulkar, they organize people to come to me. And many of the personalities, like from cricket world, Gavaskar, Kapil Dev, Ravi Shastri, many of those have come to me, and many of the people send other person to collect my things. So I'm happy with my humble outlet, and since I'm that way internationally known, especially for the international press, and I do not want to expand my things, because my things are designers or in true sense of the term. My method of creating things is absolutely different from other designers. Other designers have their establishment with many young designers to assist them. But of course, I have a workshop with many of the tailors and finishers and embroidery person and craftsmen, but at my studio, I'm the only person creating the designs, every dot, every stroke, all done by me and only by me. So initially, I told people that I never repeat my design. My no twos are the same. But now I have changed because many of the designs are so popular. People want to have it in red or in black or in white. ये बना दीजिए, वो बना दीजिए दूसरा कलर में. तो इसीलिए हमको now I'm telling that I do not repeat my design unless I'm asked to. So I have a very niche kind of customers, and my things are called that. Those are coined by the journalists. This is the Earthwear of Sharbari Dutta. So I do not. My production house is not very big, and so people, those who really want to have my things, they come to me. That way I'm globally acknowledged, but my business is much smaller than any other designers.
Thank you, Sharbari. Vineeta, you tell me, what are your plans for a global or a bigger domestic market? And what do you think are some of the challenges you face, some of the assistance or strategies or government policies which you feel could be more friendly in helping you achieve your dream?
As I said, that we are just a very fresh new brand, just a 4-year-old brand. And at present, we just have 3 stores and we are operating only out of Kolkata. So the next step that we have is to actually be able to branch out of Kolkata and look at other cities. Having said that, we want to explore Bangalore, Bombay, and Delhi as our next options. But before we do that, we want to actually start going online with our products, which is going to happen very soon in May this year. So the next plan is to go online, and to that extent, we will be globally, accessible to the rest of the world. So that is the first step that we're going to be taking after now. And as far as the challenges and strategies, well, Mr. Mehra's right here. I've spoken to him also that the mall rents nowadays in today's malls are so high, they are prohibitively high. So we should look at that. This is not just for him, this is for all the real estate people. I mean, you have to look at brands like us who want to do something, but who are facing roadblocks at junctures like these. So that is one thing, definitely. Then there is another thing you spoke about, the government strategies. I mean, I really feel that the excise duty, which has been imposed recently again for garment manufacturers above an MRP of 999 is absolutely not right. I think if you just choke us with so many taxes at every step, where are we going to do? Where are we going to go, and what are we going to do? So basically, you have to look at a brand, a business person who wants to do business, and you have to create lucrative and suitable paths for that to happen, rather than create roadblocks. So I would request real estate agents and real estate people to actually look at the mall rents. I would request them to actually make it suitable for us to look at more pastures, greener pastures in that area. And of course, the government to take more suitable steps in this direction as far as implementation of better business, more business, and all of that is concerned, rather than creating roadblocks for us. So that's the answer.
Another roadblock for making India in the fashion and fashion industry is finance. There's very little finance which comes from the banks for this particular industry. And Vineeta, since you run 3 stores, and Sharbari, you also send stuff outside. What kind of, you don't send? Okay, they all come and pick it up. I want to know, what kind of logistics problems do you face, Nupur?
The worst logistic problems is in Calcutta, you cannot get products into Calcutta without a label. And even when it goes out of Calcutta, this is the only city which has this. No other city, whether it's Delhi, Bombay, you don't have to have so much paperwork for just products to come in and go out. So half the times things get stuck because it's coming to Calcutta and no other city. I think especially if for Calcutta, well, I'm still suffering, so I won't not complain till I'm not. That's a big problem. And logistics, and finance, definitely, I think the government needs to, like, let's say if it's a woman entrepreneur, the government needs to give us some sort of like, yeah, simpler, definitely. Like if you want to, I've been wanting to work a lot outside, but even transferring funds for Indians outside just to do an exhibition, it's so hard. You have to go through like 20 paperwork, so you've lost interest by then, So I think just to let people go out and look at other avenues, things should be made easier, paperwork should be easier. That's all. I mean, I think as women, we lose interest very fast.
So we've understood one thing, while Make in India sounds fine, but to make in India really happen, we have to make things very simple for the fashion industry and cut down a lot of red tapes and strings, which really create problems for all these very creative people. And Binwant, you've got a very big responsibility on your hands, because without human resource, we can't move an inch, and Make in India would probably fizzle out for this industry if you can't really integrate the rural artisans with the young urban professionals.
That's right, very rightly
To make
pointed
sure
out.
that the heritage is preserved and people don't go into tire industry or something leaving weaving, which is happening all the time.
Very
So,
true.
a time will come, maybe we are going to lose a lot of this heritage if we don't do something immediately. And Make in India will be a different kind of Make in India. Then a big dream will be lost. Thank you very much for your patient hearing.
So I would like to thank my panelists and our moderator for the session.